Hello and good evening, everyone. This is Kenya Rockman, the author and founder of the Child Support Hustle. I hope everyone is doing well. When and if you watch this video, I'm doing outstanding. I don't know if you're gonna. Well, I'm hoping that you can hear me. I have some people working on my yard outside, so hopefully that noise won't carry on inside, and I'll have to stop the video. But if that happens, then I'll just take this video down. I'm gonna just go through it. But if it happens, I'll take it down and then reshoot it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through it and hopefully everything is good. So as the title says, nobody working in United States or I think anywhere should ever be working bringing half or next to nothing home due to child support for numerous reasons. But I'm gonna talk about a couple uh, based on the guidelines. So two in particular. So if you follow my Instagram or child support, I'm sorry, my Instagram or Facebook pages, you saw that I posted a father's page yesterday, and it was low. You know, he had a nice paying job, and his take home pay was ridiculous. So that's what I'm gonna talk about. And so here's the breakdown. His total earnings for 80 hours totaled $1,520.64. His before tax deductions totaled $311.72. His after tax child support withholdings totaled $703.91. They showed that there was six withholdings ranging from $20.63 to $285.29. The father said it was a total of four cases altogether, and there were two withholdings for arrears. So there were a total of six on the if you saw the notice or the child support or the stub, you saw that it was six total. Now, we all know that there's no good, I don't think, any good child support agencies. I haven't heard of any, ran into any. You may have come in contact with a child support worker that did something to help you out. Really, they just did their job. But just to, like, say the agency went above and beyond or set was a role model to how other agencies should be operating, I've never seen one. And Michigan sets the bar on one of the worst. They literally do whatever they want, when they want, to whomever they want. Like, and over the years, they, in my opinion, have not improved one bit. They keep um, doing worse. If you ask me, I mean, there's just zero accountability. I mean, there's no accountability across the field, but Michigan is just, I don't know what's going on there for several reasons, but they're beyond the pale. Somebody needs, the feds need to go in there again and check them real. I mean, real hard, because if they do this in child support, I can't even imagine what they're doing in the other, in their other matters, judicial and all that kind of stuff. But um, they're out of control. So, with the child support orders and income withholdings, the Office of Federal Child Support Enforcement says that while child support can be withheld from wages, the amount is limited by the Federal Consumer Credit Protection Act. I'm going to include the link to the updated fact sheet from the United States Department of Labor if you want to know about the garnishments, what you can get garnished, how much they can take. I'm gonna include the link, or it's included in the description. So here are the limits to the child support garnishments per the Federal Consumer Credit Act. 50% of disposable income can be garnished if an obligated parent has a second family. We all know they don't even consider if the non-custodial parent is taking care of another household. You don't even hear about that. So that is a thing. 60% if there is no second family. These limits are each increased by 5% up to 55 to 65% if payments are in arrears for a period equal to 12 weeks or more. State law may further limit the amount that can be taken from your paycheck. To be clear, the disposable income, always have to look this up. The disposable income is the income remaining after deductions of taxes and other mandatory charges available to be spent or saved as one wishes. Okay. So it just so happened that Michigan is one of those states that further limits the amount, that has limitations to the amount taken from paychecks, or at least they're supposed to. According to the Support and Parenting Time Enforcement Act, Excerpt Act 295 of 1982, that's how old these laws are. These not laws, but these acts or whatever. I don't, consider child support anything laws. Guidelines. This is in Section 8. Quote, the total amount of income withheld under this act, under all orders to withhold income for current support, past due support, fees, and health care premiums effective against a payer shall not exceed 50% of the payer's disposable earnings. 50%. Based on my calculations, the total of all the calculations from the paycheck stub that I'm talking about equaled 58%. That exceeds the 50% limitation that Michigan itself has on their books, their statute. So they violate stuff that's written there. I mean, they do it all the time. All it takes is a Google search. Let me turn this fan on me. It's a Google search, and the people that work there, if I can look it up, why aren't they looking it up? And people might say, there's a lot of child support lovers out there. For the life of me, I can't even understand how people still love this system with all the evidence and statistics and real life stories. Like the system is terrible. It was terrible policy then, and it's terrible policy now. And people will ride or die for child support. I don't get it, but people will say, well, that 8%, that might be 8%, but so what? It's for the children, so who cares? Let the kids have it. But not only is Michigan violating its own statute, which I'm not surprised, as I said, but it's breaking another very important regulation mandated by the federal government when deciding child support order amounts. And that's another thing, how people can say, so what? When in the name of child support, it's okay to break this law, this guideline. It's okay to lock people up without their due process. It's okay to suspend a license. It's okay to take almost all of their money when they work for it. It's okay for people to live in slavery. That's bondage, to work 80 plus hours and come home with nothing. Some guy, a father, inboxed me today and said he came home with a check for $200 after he worked. And you think that that's okay? People actually put in their mind that that's okay because somebody has children. But on the other hand, if a custodial parent like myself came home with a check like that, I could go and get some kind of public assistance. That's the difference. A father or a non-custodial parent cannot get any assistance. You come home with $200 for those 2 weeks. That's what you have. That's it. So there's a big difference. So after working 80 hours a week and after all the deductions, the father is left with this father that I'm talking about, $392.20 for the next 2 weeks. Now let's break that down for just housing. Where this father lives in Michigan, there's no studios for $700. I looked. So if he's going to need at least a 1-bedroom. So when his children come to visit, because that's what they say, oh, the fathers don't want to be in their children's life. The fathers want to have their children over to their homes too. So he wants at least 1 bedroom. So that's $700. So what's that leave him? After 2 weeks, $92 for food, for transportation, for toiletries, basic necessities, all that kind of stuff that we all need. It's a basic necessity. So, and he definitely couldn't afford a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment if his children wanted to come over and have their own space like they do at their custodial parents' house, where they can, they want the same home, they want the same environment. That father wants their children to come and be at home as well. But if you leave them with not even $400 every 2 weeks, how can he provide that for his children? But then if he doesn't come and get his children, if he's allowed to, he's a deadbeat. She's a deadbeat. But back to the second violation. In 2016, the federal government issued a federal register, and I talk about this register all the time, because there's so many changes that they made in there. When I talk about there have been changes made, it's that the states and these workers and everybody just choose to ignore them, and nobody is saying anything, which is astounding. If you jaywalk, you get a ticket in some places. If you sag your pants in some places, you get a ticket. But they don't want to follow these federal guidelines that are literally life and death for parents. It's astonishing. And it what they say, Peter Griffith grinds my gears. It really makes me upset. It really does. So, okay, the federal register was implemented a number of changes, and these must be considered. This is back in 16 when this was issued. So these must be considered when calculating. It's a bunch of them, and I put them in. Well, hold on, let me get there. So they must be considered when calculating a new case or when a parent applies for a modification. And this is in section 302.56B. Child support guidelines established under paragraph B of this section. Oh, I'm sorry, A of this section. Let me make this. Must at the minimum. This is just basic. It's based on, then this is information from Cornell Law School. And the reason why I had to go outside the federal government's website is because this particular section in the Federal Register is not there. I cannot make this up. I told my dad when I was writing and doing the research for this live, I said, Dad, you cannot even believe this. I said, I go back to look up something that I know I looked up, because why would I don't know the stuff off the top of my head. And I go back to where I found it the first 4 times or whatever, and it's gone. And like the links I put up when I first started doing YouTube videos, they would just, people couldn't, the page not found. So this time when I go and look, this whole section is gone. So I had to go to Cornell Law School to find this section. So it's in the description. So you can go and look at that, because it's not where it's supposed to be. Okay. Why these people are sneaky. When people are trying to hustle you, they'll try everything in their power to make sure you don't find out the hustle. But it's hard to hustle somebody that know the hustle. Okay, so these are the minimum. So they must take in consideration all earnings and income of the non-custodial parent, and at the state's discretion, the custodial parent's income and the children's. So that's if they want to, which is another violation, because if the non-custodial parent is working 80 hours a week, shouldn't or providing what, $700,000 every 2 weeks, it should be a match. You need to let me know that you're providing that same amount of money before you suspend my license or suspend my passport or put liens on my bank account and my property. Let's make sure that we're even in this, because we are equal parents. So let's make sure we're equal 50-50 out here. They must also take in consideration the basic subsistence. I can never say this daggone word. And subsistence needs of the non-custodial parent, and at the state's discretion, again, the custodial parent and the children who has the limited ability to pay by incorporating the low income adjustment, such as the self-support reserve or other methods determined by the state. So they're supposed to have this in place, and coming home with less than $400 every 2 weeks you would be considered low income, but you can't go and get SNAP benefits, housing benefits, and those other low income programs that custodial parents can go get. So there's inequality there too. These are two basic guidelines, and like almost every other basic guideline, child support overseers ignore these guidelines when enforcing the child support system. It's not me saying the system is unconstitutional, it's the actions taken by the people hired to operate the child support systems that make it unconstitutional. It's not me, and I have a ton of research that backs this up. There's violations all over the place, and it's not just my research. This research is across the board. You can Google it. These employees cannot execute basic job functions. It's their job, but they can't even do that. If this young man that sent me this paycheck stuff didn't do his job function, he'd be fired. But they don't seem to get fired. They look for him. Oh, you always see a job announcement, and they pay well too. They don't do their basic job functions, such as reviewing cases to determine ability to pay before issuing arrest warrants. And apparently they can't calculate the maximum amount that's supposed to be garnished for child support orders. And there's no one in the higher positions tasked with holding them accountable. That's holding them accountable. Meanwhile, the children and the parents suffer. That's why I don't understand why people love the system and defend it. If it wasn't social media, people would come to blows. They'll start fighting over the system, defending it. Oh, they love it. We need to get this government owed arrears erased, and we need, at the minimum, is to make these public servants do their job properly, and at the maximum, abolish the system entirely. It's been too damaging. Like, we say reform, and there's some repeals that can be done, but it's damaged so many families, so many children. It's just throw the whole thing away. The more I dig into it, and the more I see these bills being passed, they're counterproductive. A lot of these bills are just bills that's already in place, or guidelines that's already in place, and they're just repassing them. For what? There's no reason for it, because wasting money. That's money that could be spent in decreasing child poverty, really getting some help out here while we are going through this pandemic. Whether you believe in the pandemic or whatever, people are not working. So, as you know, I have the petition. Please go sign it. We want to definitely get the signatures there so we can send it on to the Biden administration, so he can look at it, or whoever looks at it, and say, hey, we need to really get these arrears erased. Let me see. We need to abolish debtor prisons. You should not go to jail because you cannot afford to pay a debt. That in itself is a crime. So we need to get that. That has to go. And I'm going to always say that until it happens. And we need to make sure parents take home enough money to provide for themselves, to provide for their basic needs, and to provide for their children when their children come to their homes. Anything else constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. So the petition is available. You can sign it on my website, thechildsupporthustle.com. You can also buy my book, The Child Support Hustle. You can get a mask, and you can also get a t-shirt. I'm wearing one now. You can't hardly see it. And if you ordered a gray t-shirt, I'm still waiting to get my order in. Thank you for your patience. I will ship them out as soon as I get them. And on that note, if you know a good t-shirt company, I am in the market for another company to make t-shirts for me. So if you know somebody, or if you are a company, hit me up, cshustle1@gmail.com. Let me see. I don't want to miss anything. Oh, and I said this before, and I'm sending emails out, return emails. I'm not working on individual cases anymore. If I can answer your question real quick, I will try to. You can go to my website. I have a ton of articles there. My book has some information there. I have videos. I have a lot of information that will probably answer your question. So I'll try to do that, but I'm not working on individual cases right now. As I explained before, my dad and I are going through a kidney transplant process. So it's a lot of doctor's appointments. I'm getting myself healthy, getting ready to hopefully, God willing, donate this kidney to my father. So I'm concentrating on that and a couple other things. So I can't give everybody's case the individual attention that I usually do. So maybe after the surgery and I get healed up and everything, I might start doing it again, but I'm not sure. But like I said, there's a lot of information out there. And if I can point you, even if I can refer you to another organization, I'll try to do that as well. So I'm not just, walking away from the whole movement. I'm, like I said, I'm 10 toes in this. So let's get it. So I hope I did that better. Somebody made a comment, said, I'll try to read the comments and talk to your audience. So I tried to do that. Thank you for your suggestion. I'm always a work in progress. So I hope I did that okay or better. I'm gonna always try to improve so I can get the information out. If they're taking more than they're supposed to on the garnishment, file for a modification, which I know is hard to get through because they're blaming it on COVID, but they're still collecting their paychecks. Still put your modification in. If they're not responding, you file a complaint with the regional office. Each state has a region, and then you can even go higher to the federal office. I don't know. If you go to my Facebook page, the Child Support Hustle, I have a post on there with the link to the federal office, but I don't know when I posted it. It was probably like a month ago or so. So I hope everybody is taking care and heard me okay on here. They stopped working out there, so that was good. They must have, no, I'm sure they didn't see me in here, but everything worked out. Yeah, we got to get it abolished. You're right, Dark and Lovely. Let's see. Thank you, Earl. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And as soon as I get any information, I'm coming front and center, live and direct. I want to give it to you so y'all can go and advocate where you are. So we'll build an army out here. And even though they keep passing these nonsense bills, because that's what they are, like I said, I do see change, but they have to do what the feds are telling them to do, and there has to be some accountability. So, contact your legislators. Say, why aren't you, enforcing this? Why aren't you enforcing that? Why are you all still taking 70% of somebody's pay? We got to ask the questions. You know what I mean? So, oh, you're welcome, Drew. All right, y'all. Yeah, Instagram is KN or NK, at KN or NK. I'm on Twitter at CS Hustle, the number one. You can email me at CSHustle, the number one at gmail.com. I have a contact form on my website. Let me see. Facebook. Our Facebook page is still active, although I'm not on there often. I'm more so on YouTube because, like I said, I'm not as doing as much work as I used to because of the transplant. So if you see me posting stuff about kidney donation, and if you consider being a live donor, consider it some more because y'all are needed. We're needed. So, all right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a great evening. Y'all be safe and be kind to one another. All right. Take care. They can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Let's go.